If you remember, we discussed the beginnings of Milchemet Yom Kippur and my frustration in not officially being involved, and the fact that the mayor of the city, Mr. Goshen, who was a friend of mine because of my connection with the Ulpana Segula in Kiryat Motzkin, called me and said, I would very much like you to help represent the Iriyah if there are any, or when there will be some unfortunate casualties and we have to inform family. And he continued and said that in the Six-Day War there were a few casualties, not many, and he hopes there'll be a few now and not more. That's how I got into it all. By the way, I followed 24 families in Kiryat Motzkin. I'm not going to tell you 24 stories, but I will tell you a few. I think first I want to tell you a story which I call Gvura of a Talmid Chacham. I was involved with a Beit Knesset in Motzkin called Minyan HaNoar. And in the Minyan HaNoar, one of the senior gentlemen, and I don't feel I want to mention names, even though we're talking facts. A senior member of that minyan, Talmid Chacham, and I get a report that his son-in-law, it seems, was just killed. And I was told or asked to go with the doctor. By the way, usually the doctor was a Russian woman who wasn't in Israel that long. And in 3 or 4 cases, going with the doctor and hearing the story, the doctor fainted. Anyhow, I went to the home of this senior member of the Beit Knesset, and I inform him that his son-in-law seems to be no longer, and that it happened in the area of the Suez Canal. What does this old man say to me? He looks me in the face and he says, I want all the information. I want to know whether my son-in-law fell near the canal or in the canal. And I said to him, what's the difference? And he says, don't you know what the difference is? I want to know if my daughter is an aguna or not. Wow. So that's the kind of thing I went through, and came home and ate enough for 3 days. The story that I wanted to tell you, which is the most important one as far as I am concerned. I get to a house, and by the way, I'm driving with the Volvo that I brought with me from America in 1970. You know, it's I don't know what you should call it. What kind of an auto had it become? You know, meaning a very nice white station Chevra Kadisha car. By the way, I purposely am going to throw in something silly which has nothing to do with what I'm going to tell you. When I was in Miluim, in Chel Avir, there was one of my colleagues was related to the head of the Chevra Kadisha in Tel Aviv. And we used to go on all kinds of trips, and the son-in-law of Mr. Chevra Kadisha of Tel Aviv was able to get from his father-in-law the car, the Chevra Kadisha van. And we used to go in the Chevra Kadisha van wherever we wanted to go. Now, since Chel Avir, there was the motto, Mekomcha Itanu, your place is with us, Chel Avir. So on the van of the Chevra Kadisha, we put the sign, Mekomcha Itanu. Funny, but I just said that in order to, because I felt I had to. But now let's get back to the real thing. Anyhow, with my white Volvo, my Chevra Kadisha Volvo, I stop at a certain place and I go into the house, up 3 flights of stairs. I walk in, I knock on the door, I walk in, I see not old, they were older than me, but not much, Zug, a couple. And I see on the table, I see the heading, a letter from Haifa University where I was teaching, congratulating the son that I am now going to say is dead, congratulating the son on finishing his BA. I saw that on the table. And I see that when I walk in, the father and the mother, who later on I found out, Nitzolei Shoah, whose families were all annihilated, and they came on Aliyah, and they got married, and they had another son, who I now have to inform them is dead. A classical case. But I also see that the father looks at the mother and makes a sign, and the mother looks back, and we're in motion. We're walking together. And I realize that we're walking to the mirpeset, to the balcony. Thank God I guessed. They had made up their minds that if something happens, they jump. And I caught them. I caught them. And when I caught them, the father started hitting me. By then other people got there and tried to take care of this, and I disappeared. That night, Sahadi Bamromim, there's a knock on my door, and it's the father, to apologize for hitting me. These kind of stories, you never forget. You never forget the Almanot, you never forget the Yitomim, you never forget all these stories. And that's what was. And every year, on Yom HaZikaron, I I take out the list of all the korbanot from Kiryat Motzkin. I sit down, and like now, I cry. Sof Sipur.